Hello, investors and traders, and welcome to the weekly market report. I'm AJ Monty, and this is a one-year daily candle chart of the CBOE Volatility Index, ticker symbol VIX. As I zoom into this one-year candle chart, you'll see that we have 15 red candles, count them, 15 red candles in a row. That's known as a stale red light. And underneath today's candle, we see that long shadow. Now, generally, when you see a long shadow under the candle, that tells us that the buyers are fighting back against the selling pressure. Now, again, remember, for the most part, the VIX is inversely related to the S&P. And with that said, I do believe we're going to have one or possibly two more red candles coming into next week, Monday and Tuesday, right before elections. So with that said, after we see the red candles, I think we're going right back up on the VIX to that target of 29.72, which is the target I have in place right there at the end of my zip line. Now, if we look at SPY, we're going to see a slight conflict in the candles. Well, what is that? Well, first, you can see that we pivoted from my target point right there. Had an upside target last week, 392.17, and then I said we would pivot down to go to 379.24, which we did. Now, that too has a long shadow under that hammer candle right there, and that tends to be bullish. So I think next week we're going to see a slight rally into Monday, Tuesday, election day, and then I think we're going to turn right back down and take out the lows from Thursday right here. So my downside target for the end of next week is going to be 366.47. Now let's take a look at the diamonds. That's ticker symbol DIA. Same scenario. I think we're going to go up just slightly Monday and Tuesday, and then I think we're going to take out those lows. This green dotted line down here is my longer term target for the diamonds. So I'm keeping that in place because that is a role reversal support level. Remember, back here was resistance. Resistance was broken on that bullish engulfing candle, and I do believe that will hold as support. A lot of times that support is tested. So eventually, I think we'll work our way right down and then see whether or not we even bounce at that support level. So my forecast, again, is upside target for the diamonds Monday and Tuesday into the election day. Tuesday is 327.61 and then right back down to 317.24. Now, I'm going to go right to the Qs. I'm going to try to do this quickly because I have some content that I want to give you and talk about next week as well. If you look at the Qs, we have a hammer pattern, right? We have the CCI pivoting up from an oversold condition. So I think the Qs are going to move back up to test that 20-period moving average, and then I'm going to go right back down with that to take out the lows from today. The Qs were under pressure more so this week than the rest of the markets, and the tech sector was just getting pummeled right from the get-go. And we had a lot of action, a lot of volume, especially in the large cap stocks. We had Amazon, Google, they were getting hit, Microsoft, Apple. And so I think we're going to get a little bit of a relief. I think this is going to be the last push higher before election. And then I think we're going to see higher diesel prices, gas prices. I think inflation is going to rear its ugly head. Again, I'll tell you why, again, when I show you my PowerPoint. But downside target ultimately on the Qs is 257.78. Now, if we look at IWM, which is the small cap stocks, we're coming into the close here in about 30 seconds. Try to get this done before the close. You can see that we hit my downside target on IWM after we pivoted from my upside target. You see that? We had 184.36 on the upside, hit that resistance right there at 185.18 perfectly, then pivoted lower, hitting my target on the downside. Now, again, we have a long shadow underneath. We have a buy signal on the CCI. Again, I think Monday, Tuesday, we will rally, and then we're going to have an ABC zigzag pattern, ABCD. And there's the close. We'll have an ABCD pattern with a lower low next week at 173.35. So we have the VIX, we have the Spires, we have the diamonds, we have the IWM. That's what we're looking at. But I want to do a shout out here for silver. Check out silver. We had a big move higher on silver. So it was up over 7%. And notice how there is no shadow on top of that candle. Interesting, isn't it? Big volume day, no shadow. The CCI is screaming to the upside. And one of the reasons for that is because if you look at the dollar right here, this is the cash index for the dollar. We had a big bearish engulfing candle right here. And you see all the signs are pointing lower for the dollar. The dollar, again, for the most part, is inversely moving to silver, or vice versa. Silver is moving inversely to the dollar. So this is going to be an interesting week. I do believe that the dollar is going to break out below that downtrend line and take out that low right there at 109.54. So keep your eye on the dollar. Now, as I mentioned, I'm not going to make this a long video. I want to make it short because next Tuesday, I'm having a call, a webinar, a live webinar with John Nigerian, where I'm going to go over some of my strategies and how I dance with the market. Stay tuned at the very end. I'll show you the link on how to register for that event, but I will be digging into the strategy more so than I can on these weekly market reports. I mean, obviously, if people paying good money for membership, I don't want to give away the farm on one weekly market report that's for free, but we will be digging in on Tuesday to show you how I position, especially on the downside, and how to make money in a bear market. Now, let's get to the presentation I put together for you to show you what's happening on the geopolitical forefront. Now, this is pretty simple. You just connect the dots. Connect dot 1 to 2 to 3, and bang, you're going to get the picture. First dot right here, what's happening? Well, this came out earlier this week where it's showing small businesses. It's pretty incredible. A lot of people don't notice. Small businesses generate 44% of the U.S. economic activity. So these small businesses represent almost half of the GDP. That's dot number 1. Why is that so important? Because if you take a look what's happening to small businesses, this came out early in the week from Bloomberg. More than a third of U.S. small businesses couldn't pay all their rent in October. So this tells us that small businesses are ailing and it's not getting any better. They're behind on their rent, telling us that they're suffering from an economic slowdown. And if that represents 44% of our GDP and more than a third of these small businesses are hurting, well, you can do the math and know that that's pretty negative overall. So I do believe inflation is going to continue to rage. We'll see the CPI, the PPI continue to move higher. And with that, we have to track what's happening with small businesses. In addition to that, this is really hurting businesses that are helping to actually build our economy. And there's still a labor shortage. And when you have to bid up to get the labor to come work for you, well, guess what? That is more inflationary numbers in skilled labor costs that continues to bake itself into our economy and into those inflationary numbers. So again, connect the dots. You got the small businesses ailing. You got construction companies with a labor shortage. And what do we have next? Well, a lot of people aren't talking about this, or at least the media is not talking a lot about this. But after the election, there is going to be an expected rail strike. Now think about what I've talked about month after month with regard to supply chain issues. This obviously is not going to help things. And when you combine that with what's happening in the diesel market, I started reporting this long before the media outlets started reporting on it. I do believe Fox picked up on the story. Remember, I don't watch a whole lot of television, but I dig for the news. They're starting to talk about this, and we are now under 20 days until the expected supply of diesel runs out. Now, that doesn't mean that the pumps are going to go absolutely dry at that point. It means that the refinery storage facilities are going to be running out, and that's going to take time until it ultimately hits the end-line consumer. But that is going to shake up things with even the threat of having a short supply in diesel affecting our economy. Because if you combine that with the rail strike, and you have to understand that the freight trains that run across the U.S. are running on diesel, that's going to put a hurting on the supply chain, along with adding to inflation down the road. So the Fed, after they just announced a 75 basis point hike, I don't believe they're going to be able to slow down. They might talk about slowing down, but I don't think they will be able to because they're still behind the inflation curve. Now look at this. World is plunging towards societal collapse as era of cheap money ends. This is coming through the media outlet, The Telegraph. Go read the full story. You could just Google this, and it's pretty interesting to see what their perspective is here. Now, I'm going to ask you to do one thing. Understand this. This is not political, by the way. This is what's actually happening. I mentioned Klaus Schwab. I mentioned the World Economic Forum. I've been tracking the World Economic Forum for over a decade. I used to go to Switzerland and stay at the Steigenberger in Davos, Switzerland, every single time that the World Economic Forum was meeting, where I would have financial events coming in the weekend as the World Economic Forum leaders were leaving that very same hotel. I found this to be very interesting. I got to know what their agenda is. I talk about their agenda quite a bit. And I found that as I talk to folks, a lot of people just don't know what's happening with the World Economic Forum and what the Great Reset is all about. Well, here is a schematic. It's basically their plan laid out on their own website, the World Economic Forum. And I want you to pay very close attention here, because remember what I said about the 3 F's, the fuel, the food, and the finance. The World Economic Forum, their goal is to basically control those 3 major areas of our lives: food, fuel, and our finances. And this is the plan completely laid out. Now, when it comes to food, look what we have down here. This is part of their plan. This is all part of the Great Reset. So when I tell people, if you want to make money in the market, you more or less have to put your money where the money is going. If you know where the world leaders are putting their money, there it is. Here's the roadmap. They're laying it out very clearly. They're not hiding it. If they are, they're hiding it in plain sight right before your eyes. Go to their website and look at this. I've highlighted the red areas that fall into that, controlling the food, the fuel, and the finances. Right there, the future of food. That's their plan. Look what's happening in the Netherlands. You see what's happening with the farmers? Well, the globalists want to take over those farms. That's part of their plan. Well, what about the fuel? Well, if you look over here, they have climate change. Climate change means that they are trying to put an end to the fossil fuels. Why? Because over time, they will be able to control the fuel that we use, whether it be solar, wind, fossil fuels, it doesn't matter. That's part of their plan to control that area of our lives. Again, this is not political. This is fact. Go look it up. Go research. And if you are wondering what's happening with the finances, well, here you go. Their goal is to control the financial and monetary systems right there, highlighted in red. They're going to control international trade and investment right there. They want to control the banking and capital markets, which is what we're participating in right here, trading options in the equity markets. And if you look over here, their idea is to control the blockchain. This is what I've been talking about with the central bank digital currency. If the dollar collapses, if the fiat currencies collapse around the world, they're going to introduce the central bank digital currency. Whether or not that'll be backed by gold, we'll have to see, but that's the idea. If they can control all the finances, then they can control the population. It's absolutely a fact. And over here, once again, taxation. If you go around this whole circle and look at these items one by one, you'll see where the money is moving. Even if it has to do with COVID and vaccines, there you go. I have it highlighted in blue. If you want to know what's happening in healthcare, the future of health and healthcare, right there. Money goes into healthcare. There's HCA, companies like that. You want to buy when the signals are showing buy signals. You want to sell when the signals are sell signals. It's pretty simple right there. Look at 5G technology. They want to control that. And silver is going to play a big part in that, because the circuitry, as a conductor, silver is an industrial metal. And so I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I will be talking more about this and my trading strategies and how we can capture profits by looking at what's happening on the geopolitical event, understanding what they're trying to do with a Great Reset, whether you believe you want to participate in that or not. Money is going to move around the world in this area, and we want to make sure that we're ahead of that. We want to be, again, putting our money in the direction of where the money is going. So with that, I'm going to close it up. Stay tuned. We have a quick, I think it's 15-second video that's going to talk about how to register for the event next Tuesday. I hope to see you there. It's only going to be open to the people who register. It's not going to be open to the general public. We are only right now offering this to the people who watch my weekly market report, and I want to make this very special for you. So again, thank you for the likes. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for hitting the notification bell. It's because of you that we're growing this channel, and I just can't thank you enough. So with that, have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you next Tuesday. Bye-bye.
Hey folks, I'm here at the beautiful St. Regis Deer Valley speaking at a family office conference. And next Wednesday, November 9th, AJ Monty and I will be showing you how to dance with options. How do you do it? Well, AJ will be breaking down how he swing trades option spreads. That's Wednesday, November 9th, 4 p.m. Eastern Time. He'll also be doing his trademarked rapid fire stock charts. So bring your tickers, make sure you sign up now. Even if you can't attend live, we'll send you a video of the event. Bang! We'll see you then.